G'day crew. The plan for this trip is to catch some whiting while the tide is running, have a look for another Tuskie, and depending on how that goes, maybe go back and try for some more whiting when the tide starts to run again. My preferred bait for whiting has always been worms, and I prefer to put them on a long shank hook. This was sort of a last minute trip before Christmas, and I didn't have time to go over to Mr. Bait and get some of his worms to chase the whiting, so I had to settle for some inferior specimens from a brand that I won't mention. When it comes to baiting worms, I've always liked to feed the worm up the entire hook and leave a little bit hanging off the end. I find this results in more hookups, but given the price of worms these days, you might want to experiment with a short shanked hook so you don't use your worms up quite as quickly. Because I was low on worms, I decided that I would try to supplement them with some gulp worm soft plastic. If you've been watching my channel for a while, you'll know that I have never done very well with soft plastic. I just really can't understand how any self-respecting fish would eat a piece of plastic instead of a nice bait. So the problem's partly my fault, and that is lack of confidence in what I'm doing. Still, if I wanted to fish, I needed to supplement my meagre supply of worms with something else, and I also want to try and get used to using plastic, so there you are, trying the plastic. I'll also mention that when I'm getting low on worms, I use a little bit less on each hook, trying to get one or two more baits out of the worms I do have. Putting a little bit less on the hook and not leaving any hang down does seem to slow the bite a bit, but then again, a slow bite is better than no bite at all. I don't think I've ever done any good with these long gulp worms, which is why they've sort of dried out and stuck together in the bottom of the packet. They've been sitting there unused for a good while. On the other hand, I have managed to get a few bites on these shorter gulp worms in the past, mainly from grinners, but still, they do work. I bait them the same as I do a real worm, shove them all the way up the shank of the hook and leave a little bit hanging down below, and as with a real worm, having a bait keeper hook would help. Missed him. Got him this time. Oh, two of them. Something for the bait well. Oh, come on, slimy thing. Alright, let's have a look at you. What are you? Oopsie. Oh, you're legal in the summit. Oh, what are you? You have to go back. This has some of the markings of a grass sweetlip, except for the black dot above the pectoral fin, and the shape of the head doesn't look quite right. The markings also remind me a little bit of a barred grunter, but again that dot is throwing me off. However, there's a lot of cases where the juvenile fish of the species looks quite different from the adult version. Whatever it is, I often catch them in this area. There, you got to go back. Don't take my bait again. No, I had mongrel bloody things. Whole spill. Oh, flounder. Nice. Whoa, just in two. Oh, how big are you? Not huge, but you're legal. Yeah, I think I'll send you back. You're not that legal. Yeah, only just. Come on, you can have a freebie. Oh, nice one. But I think you, oh, you're off. That was clever of you. I'll put you in the wide bait well. See how many I get. Oh, getting better. Except that this one went and swallowed the hook. For a whiting that swallowed the hook, you can break its neck to kill it, put it out of its misery, and then use your thumb to split the underside of the head from the gills up to the mouth, giving you access to the hook to extract it. Right. Well, you're not going in the live bait well, are you? You're decent size, eh? This is the area that I was fishing, just inside the small boat passage against the chain banks. The morning tide was pushing me towards the chain banks, so I was motoring out to about 5 or 6 metres of water and then letting it drift back to under 2 metres before starting the motor and moving out again. Okay. Oh, you're a wintry. As you can see from the sounder shots, there's a reasonable amount of bait and fish in the area. Bloody grinner. Alright. Well, not letting you go again. Got you this time. Not what you want though. There you go. He's not happy about you like taking all my worm. Better rebait him. So all the worm's gone. And I've only got one good. I have. Only one of the good plastics left. These others aren't doing much good at all. I'll put this one on top. So I'm reduced to using some of these old plastic worms now. I do have some prawns, but I have other plans for them, depending on how the day develops. I'm going to try a bit of S factor on these old plastic worms and see if that helps a bit. Oh, nice one. Oh. Oh, come on, stand still for a minute. One, two, three, four, five, half a dozen. That's all right. Oh, There you go. Oh, nice one again. Oh. As you will have seen in my previous videos, I always bring ice from home and add seawater to make an icy brine to keep my fish in. If you have a dedicated bait freezer, then making your own ice is quite a cheap way to do it. And you can pick up a dedicated bait freezer at a scratch and dent for under $200. So if you do a bit of fishing, that's a good idea. And if you buy a bit of ice, it'll pay for itself in no time. Whenever I'm fishing in this area, I generally catch the odd small flyer as well. The big ones are further along in the trout. And of course, the small ones have to be released if we want to have big ones in the future. I had intended to try for another Tuskie after I'd caught a few whiting and the run had slowed down a bit. If you watched my last on-water video where I landed an 11 kilo Tuskie, you would have seen that the reel seat on the rod was a little bit loose. I knew the rod was on its last legs and that I would have to replace it, but I've been using that rod for so long and I've caught so many big fish on it that I thought just one more, I'll just do one more trip before Christmas, see out the year with it, and then I'll replace the rod. And while I'd been fishing for whiting, I kept hearing this squeak squeak as the boat was rocking. I couldn't work out what it was. Well, it turned out to be the reel seat on my rod that I was going to use for the Tuskies. It wasn't just a little bit wobbly anymore. It was completely loose. So much for getting just one more fish with it. I bought that rod and reel combo from Mossop in round about the early to mid-80s. And I loved it. It has caught so many big fish for me. But it's end of days for it now. I'll certainly be keeping the reel and putting it on another rod, but I'm afraid that poor old rod has had it. Very sad. Plan B. Try and get some live bait and then see if I can catch something at the foul ground. I've got there. This is my Furuno TZ3. It's a very capable MFD or multifunction display. One of its many features that I love is the drift mode. That allows me to designate the spot that I want to fish and then activate the drift mode, allowing the boat to drift for a bit while the Peruno figures out the direction and speed of the drift. The TZ3 then puts a point on the screen where I should start the drift in order to pass over the point I want to fish on in the time period that I've selected, and I usually allow 5 minutes from the time I stop at the drift point to the time I'm over the fishing spot in order for me to get my lines prepared and down. And then once I start that drift, I always get it to recalculate the drift because conditions can change between one drift and the next. Drift mode, when used properly, is extremely good at putting my boat right over the spot where I'm wanting to fish. The only time it doesn't put me right over the spot is when the wind changes after the drift has been calculated. I can't recommend this feature highly enough. It takes all the guesswork out of calculating your drift points. I didn't do any good chasing the snapper, and there wasn't a lot of bait around or much of an indication of fish, so once the tide turned I decided that I'd go back and chase some more whiting. I used up all of my worms this morning, along with the plastics that I'd had left over from a previous trip, so now I've got to get into the prawns that I had brought along with the intention that I might have fished elsewhere. I'll tell you about that in a minute. In my opinion, prawns aren't an ideal whiting bait, but if you haven't got anything else, they're acceptable. The cooked prawns are a bit tougher and harder to get into the hook, so again, they're acceptable whiting. But what I'm doing here, I've got the raw prawns, they're local prawns, so they're quite okay to use, and I'm slicing them up into thin biscuits that I can put on the hook. I had brought the prawns along with the idea that I might have been fishing the shallow reefs around Peel. Decided to go after the whiting instead, so I'll use a few of them up here. The main thing is that when you bait them, make sure they're small enough that you leave the barb exposed. As you can see from the chart screen, the boat is now drifting in the opposite direction after the tide change, so now I'm drifting away from the chain banks. Take it. Yeah, settle down. Same as this morning when I was looking for whiting. I wouldn't call it a hot bite, but it was at least steady. Bloody grinner. Oh, nice one. Another one of those bloody things. Oh, nice one. Oh, well, I've got a whiting at least with the grinner this time. That is something. Nice whiting. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Getting there. Oh, there's two whiting. Wow. I thought the other one was a grinner. Oh geez, I forgot about you blokes. Oh, could have put one of yours down here. Alright, well, let you go, I guess. What would have been ideal here is to have a rod rigged up with a flathead and put these tiny mud baits on to see if I could entice a bite from one of them. I got one here. What are you? Baby yakka, I think. Yeah, I think so. I knew I'd get a bite while I was drinking. Probably taking the bait. Oh no, no, got him. Have I? I think you let go. Bring it in. Oh no. No, I got him. He's just cooperating and swimming along with me. Oops, that was nice of him. Oh, come on. Yeah, 25 you'll do. Well guys, this was my last on-water video for 2025. My apologies if some of the audio isn't as good as it normally is. I'm not recording in my usual studio. We're away at the moment and I'm trying to finish this video from where we're staying. I'd like to thank my subscribers and everyone who has watched, liked or commented on my videos over the year. Without you guys, it wouldn't be as much fun to do this. I hope everyone has a happy and safe Christmas. I might have another couple of short reels to put up between now and the new year. Maybe not, I won't promise anything. But I will be back on the water in the new year with some more fishing adventures and tips. I hope you all join me. Until then, good fishing.